Mary Simon has just 2 weeks left at Rideau Hall before her term as Governor General is up and Louise Arbour takes over. Simon was appointed by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in 2021, becoming Canada's first Indigenous Governor General. Her mandate included a commitment to mental health and wellness and advancing reconciliation with Indigenous peoples at a time when the country was starting to grapple with the impact of residential schools. I sat down with Governor General Mary Simon to reflect on her time at Rideau Hall. Here is a part of our conversation. Nice to see you again, Your Excellency. Thank you for making the time for one last time.
Well, it's nice to see you as well.
When you took on the role of Governor General, there was a Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, who was very committed to reconciliation. That was one of the things driving his agenda. And I wonder whether you think reconciliation is still a priority in this country, given all the things happening in the world and all the things people are dealing with and feeling.
I think gauging Canadians across the country, I think reconciliation is still a priority for many people because it's about relationship building, making our country stronger and working together in partnership. So as far as what I've experienced, a lot of Canadians continue to tell me that this is a very important priority that Canada has taken on as a responsibility. Sure. It's not something you do and then forget about it. It's really a way of life, and it becomes each and every one of us, I think, has a responsibility towards reconciling our differences, and there's tough conversations that have to happen.
Yeah. Does it worry you that it could drop off sort of the list of things that need to happen? Because, as I said, the world is busy, and how do we make sure as a country that doesn't happen?
Well, as my responsibility, I was a champion of reconciliation, and I think we need a champion to continue leading that a priority, and it's about, like traveling and getting to know both non-Indigenous and Indigenous people across the country and helping to support them in their relationship building, understanding the history of the country, and taking that to a place where we have more equality, more respect, less of the stuff that's been going on historically. And I think that we've moved a long way from that. There's still a lot of work to do. It's not something that you can complete and say, well, I've done my job.
If you're not there in this role, who's the champion of that then, do you think?
Well, I've been working with an advisory committee that are both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, and we've made it a part of the Rideau Hall, and hopefully that will continue. I've had conversations with the designate, and she's, I don't know exactly what her priorities will be, but I've had a very good discussion with her about the work that I've done on this subject. So I think that the process itself and the way they engage with the public will help determine if it continues to be a priority.
A few years ago, or a few years into the term, you spoke publicly about turning off your social media comments on your posts. Can relate to that. Yours were abusive, misogynistic, and even racist. And some of those comments were shared publicly. I wonder whether you were surprised when those kinds of comments were made to you and about you.
Well, it's always a surprise when you find things like that are being said to you on a personal level. So yes, it was a surprise, but it was also, I think, a reflection of what is still here, that there is a division in terms of the role Indigenous people are entitled to play as the first inhabitants of this country. So that idea of being Indigenous and your role doesn't mean anything, I think is not a good conversation to have. It's still out there. I mean, it's still,
racism, you mean?
Yeah, I still hear about it.
Yeah.
But the majority of Canadians don't think that way.
Yeah.
I've come to learn, and I've met a lot of Canadians over the past 5 years. I could tell you stories all day about the highs and lows of this relationship that I've built with Canada and the people that live here. So there are like moments when you can have a very open discussion about, let's say, social media. I opened it up to the public so that we could have a public conversation about it. There's other issues that I've done the same thing with. So these are important, I think, elements on the role of the Governor-General. Each Governor-General, I think, has their own priorities, and we will know fairly soon what the priorities of the designated Governor-General will be. But, you know, like, we move on, but I continue to carry my role, not as Governor-General, but as a bridge builder, as a leader in these areas that I feel passionate about.
I'm going to ask you about French because it became an issue. You obviously are bilingual. You speak Inuktitut, you speak English. You do not speak French. And it was talked about a lot, particularly in Quebec. I wonder whether you thought that was unfair.
Well, of course I think it's unfair, simply because, you know, we can't learn a language overnight. I didn't have the opportunity, like others, to take French when I was growing up. Even though I'm a Quebecer, in northern Quebec, there was no language spoken that was French. And I grew up being bilingual in English and Inuktitut. So when the attack started to happen, you know, it seemed really strange that I would be the one being attacked when a whole committee of people that vetted the process came to the conclusion that I was the right person at the right time for this country. And that's why I got appointed, not because I was Mary Simon, but because of the experience that I carry with me of 50 years. Yeah. And I think, you know, I think we have to understand, yes, okay, we have 2 official languages, but there are so many Indigenous languages in Canada that we're losing them. And I think we have to give more support to Indigenous languages. And we should all be proud of such a diverse country that includes all these different languages. And yet, even my language in Inuktitut is like slowly weakening, because the official languages are supported to grow and be prosperous languages, whereas Indigenous languages are not. So if we're going to save Indigenous languages as a country, we have to do more.
Did it ever impede your ability to connect with Canadians not speaking French?
No, not at all. I mean, you know, I don't know if Canadians know this, but I did take it seriously to learn French.
You weren't pretending to learn?
No, I had a tutor. I did 2 days a week, and I am in a position where I can read French, and I can understand what I'm saying in a speech. At the beginning, I didn't.
You couldn't even do that,
Yeah. So when I speak French in my speeches, I understand what I'm saying. The only thing left after all this is said and done is the ability to have a conversation.
Right.
And that takes like time, and because French is so different.
Yes.
Even from Inuktitut.
Yes.
Because at the beginning I was translating learning French in Inuktitut in my head, and things weren't connecting.
No, of course, yeah. Yeah, it's hard, it's hard. Yeah. You were Governor General, as you alluded to before, during some big moments for the country, the death of Queen Elizabeth, the coronation of King Charles, the apology by the Pope on Canadian soil, COVID. I wonder whether there was an event or a moment in all of those significant moments, because sometimes it's not as busy. You really had a busy time, that was meaningful for you, that was significant.
Well, Rosemary, there are so many moments, challenging moments, happy moments, difficult moments. But if I were to pick one thing, the saddest part of was to experience the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. But the coronation of the King was to me a very important event, because the day before the coronation, I organized a meeting for the 3 Indigenous leaders.
That's right, yeah.
To meet with King Charles, the day before he was coronated to become King Charles III. And since then, he has met with many Indigenous leaders. So I feel that was one of the things that is one of the highlights, because Indigenous people in Canada, all they want to do is have a relationship with the King and the Crown, and to work things out. And that's all. That's what it boils down to.
I'm going to end on what was, I think, one of your guiding principles, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, the Inuktitut word, ajunata?
Ajunata.
Ajunata, which means never give up.
Never give up.
And I wonder how that kept you going through this, and the country going, because particularly during COVID, that was a real, it was I imagine it was a light for you. Yeah,
I started when COVID was still going strong. And I remember coming to Ottawa and wearing a mask in the office and for the installation. Ayuinatam is a very important word in our language, in the Inuktitut language. It means, the translation is not as deep as the meaning in Inuktitut. It never give up against all odds, kind of like that's like a literal translation. Sure. But I used to hear it a lot when I was growing up. My grandmother, and we'd visit friends and stuff, and when people were leaving, I used to hear Ayuinata. So people telling each other, never give up. And when I started here, I made it one of the words that we use here a lot, and in my speeches.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's a lovely word, Ajunyata, and thank you.
You too, Ayuinata.
Congratulations on
Thank you so much.
Your time as Governor General.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.